People say life changes in slow, gentle steps, but sometimes it flips in one instant, in one breath, in one unexpected doorway. And that's exactly what happened the moment Alexandra Pierce, a self-made millionaire known for her icy composure and iron business instincts, pushed open the side entrance of her newest property without warning. She only meant to check a broken security issue herself. But what she walked in on at 5:42 a.m. would unravel everything she thought she knew about success, sacrifice, and what it truly meant to live for something bigger than yourself. The building was supposed to be empty at that hour. The staff didn't arrive until 7, and construction crews wouldn't return until 8. Alexandra liked that. Quiet meant control, and control was her comfort zone. She moved through the dim hallway, her heels in one hand so they wouldn't echo. The air smelled faintly of cleaning supplies and cold concrete. The place wasn't glamorous yet, but it would be. She'd turned this old community center into a bright, profitable event venue, another square on the long, shiny board of her empire. But then she heard it. A voice. Low. Steady. Carrying emotion in every word. She froze. At first she thought it was a radio left on, but no, this wasn't music. It was singing. And not careless humming, but the kind of singing that made you stop, listen, and feel something you didn't expect to feel before sunrise. She followed the sound to the janitorial room, an old door with peeling paint. It was open just slightly. Light spilled out into the hallway. She pushed it wider. And her world tilted. Inside, a black janitor, early 40s maybe, stood on a cracked tile floor with a broom leaned against his leg. But he wasn't sweeping. He wasn't mopping. He wasn't doing anything she expected a janitor to be doing. He was kneeling beside a child. A little boy with tangled curls, wrapped in a too large hoodie, eyes still heavy with sleep. Alexandra's breath caught, but the man didn't notice her. His entire attention was on the child. "You ready?" the man asked softly. The boy nodded shyly. The man smiled, a warm, patient smile that didn't match the exhaustion on his face, and lifted the boy's tiny hands to guide them over a small keyboard set on a stack of overturned buckets. "Okay, Daniel. Remember what we practiced." His fingers tapped gently on the boy's knuckles. "Let the music talk for you." And then, the boy played. Not perfectly. Not confidently. But beautifully in the way only a child trying his very hardest can be beautiful. The man sang along with him, soft at first, then stronger, shaping every note with this deep, almost aching love. Alexandra didn't understand the words of the song, but she felt them. Felt them in the way her throat tightened, in the way her fingers loosened around her heels, in the way the morning suddenly didn't feel so cold. For a moment, she wasn't the owner. She wasn't the boss. She wasn't the millionaire who built herself from nothing and made sure no one ever saw her limits. She was just a woman standing in a doorway, watching a man pour his soul into making a child feel safe in a world that had clearly been unfair to him. When the song ended, the little boy leaned into the man's side. "Daddy, do you think Mom would have liked that?" the boy whispered. Alexandra's heart wrenched. The man's jaw tightened. He swallowed thickly, pulling the boy closer. "She would have loved it," he whispered. "And she'd be proud of you. Every single day." The boy nodded, trying to be brave, but Alexandra saw the truth in his small trembling shoulders. She saw the grief, the kind she recognized all too well. Grief that builds a home in your chest and refuses to leave. She stepped back instinctively, not wanting to intrude, but her heel tapped the wall, and the sound betrayed her. The man's head snapped up. His eyes widened. He shot to his feet so fast the keyboard clattered. "Miss Pierce," he stammered. I didn't think anyone was here yet." "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll get back to work right away." "Daniel, grab your bag." "No," Alexandra said quickly, and her voice surprised even herself. The man froze. The boy clutched his sleeve. Alexandra stepped forward slowly, carefully, as though afraid any sudden movement would shatter the moment she'd stumbled into. What were you doing?" she asked, her tone softer than she intended. The man lowered his eyes. "Just keeping my son with me till school opens." He exhaled. "Couldn't find anyone to watch him today. And he gets nervous being alone. I ain't got anyone else since his mother passed." His voice cracked only once, but it was enough. Alexandra felt something in her, something she'd buried decades ago, shift. Hidden fatherhood. Loss. Music in a janitor's closet. A child clinging to the only parent he had left. This was not what she expected to find when she walked in unannounced. This was something else entirely. And she didn't know it yet, but this was the moment everything in her life would begin to change. Alexandra stepped farther into the cramped room, letting the door fall shut behind her. The humming fluorescent light flickered above them, casting a pale glow on the three of them, an unlikely triangle pulled together by an early morning accident. "What's your name?" she asked quietly. The man straightened, clearing his throat. "Jerome Carter, ma'am." His hand hovered in the air for a moment before he realized it was still dusty from work. He lowered it awkwardly, wiping it on his pants. I clean the floors and maintain the building. Been here about 6 months. And you?" Alexandra looked at the boy. He hid behind Jerome's leg like a shadow retreating from daylight. "This is Daniel," Jerome said for him. 6 years old. He's a little shy." Alexandra gave a small smile, though it felt foreign on her face. "Hi, Daniel." The boy didn't answer, just gripped his father's shirt tighter. Jerome ran a hand over his face, frustration and embarrassment pulling at his features. "I'm sorry for bringing him here," he blurted. "I know it ain't professional. I just didn't have a choice today. I'll take whatever penalty you give. Dock the hours, write me up, whatever you need." Alexandra blinked. Penalty? Write him up? After what she had just witnessed. For a moment, she couldn't speak. She simply observed him, the worry etched into the lines around his eyes, the exhaustion no amount of sleep could wash away, the pride he tried so hard to keep upright even as life pushed him down. She thought of herself at 6 years old, alone in an empty apartment while her mother worked double shifts and prayed she'd come home to a child still breathing and a neighborhood that hadn't swallowed her whole. Alexandra remembered promising herself she'd escape that life. That she'd become so successful she'd never rely on anyone again. But watching Daniel cling to his father's side did something to her resolve. "Jerome," she said slowly, "I'm not here to punish you." Jerome blinked, surprised. She glanced at the makeshift keyboard set on the buckets. "You were teaching him music?" Jerome nodded hesitantly. "He doesn't talk much since his mom died. Music helps him open up. It's the only time he lets himself feel anything." He paused, then added with a self-conscious laugh, "I know it looks crazy. A janitor giving lessons in a storage room." "It doesn't look crazy," Alexandra said, and for the first time in years, she meant every syllable. "It looks like love." Jerome stared at her. Daniel peeked out. And Alexandra felt that old part of her, small, wounded, locked away long ago, push against her ribs. She cleared her throat, trying to steady herself. "Why didn't you ask for help?" she asked. "If you needed time off or a place for Daniel in the mornings." Jerome shook his head quickly. "Ma'am, I can't afford to cause trouble. This job is all I've got. We're still catching up on bills from the hospital, and Daniel's school says he might need therapy, but I can't pay for it yet." His voice tightened. "So I bring him with me and hope nobody notices." Alexandra didn't say anything for several seconds. Her whole life had been built on the belief that no one would ever help her. That asking was weakness. That survival meant carrying every burden alone. But here was this man, kneeling on a cold floor, teaching his son music to keep him from disappearing into grief, still apologizing as if he had done something wrong. "Jerome," she said finally, "you're not in trouble. And Daniel is welcome here until you find a better solution." His head jerked up. "Ma'am. I mean it." She looked around the cluttered room, then back at him. "No child should spend mornings in a storage closet. I'll have one of the spare offices cleared out today. He can stay there in the mornings while you work." The relief that washed over Jerome's face knocked the breath from her chest. He let out a shaky exhale, bowing his head. "Thank you," he whispered. "You don't know what that means to us." But Alexandra did know. Perhaps too well. She stepped back, letting the moment breathe. "Finish the song," she told them gently. "If that's what you do every morning, don't stop because of me." Jerome hesitated, glancing at his son. Daniel looked at Alexandra with cautious eyes, then at his father. Slowly, he nodded. So they began again. This time, Alexandra didn't hide or lean against the wall. She sat on an overturned paint bucket, her expensive coat pooling around her feet, and listened. The song wasn't perfect. It wavered and cracked. But something in it, something tender, something raw, pressed against the memories she'd buried like heavy stones. Her mother singing quietly while folding laundry. Her own hands tapping melodies on the chipped windowsill of their apartment. A dream she once had of playing piano on a real stage, long before business swallowed her life whole. When the song ended, silence settled gently into the room. "Daniel," she said after a moment, "would you like a real keyboard? One that isn't sitting on buckets?" The boy's eyes widened. He looked at his father first. Jerome swallowed hard, emotion tightening his voice. "Ma'am, you don't have to." "I want to," she said simply. "Consider it an investment." "In what?" Jerome asked softly. "In him," she replied. A quiet knock on the hallway wall suddenly echoed. One of the electricians had arrived early. Alexandra stood, smoothing her coat and slipping her heels back on. "Jerome, finish your morning routine. When you're done, come find me. We have something to discuss." Jerome nodded slowly, still stunned. "Yes, ma'am." But Daniel tugged on her sleeve before she could reach the door. She turned. The boy whispered something so soft she almost missed it. "Thank you." 2 words. The first words he'd spoken directly to her. They landed in her chest like a warm, unexpected light. As Alexandra walked down the hallway, the building seemed different, less like a project, more like a place filled with real stories, real lives, real souls. She paused at the window, looking out at the rising morning sun. She had built an empire out of ambition, strategy, and relentless control. But she felt something stirring, something new. Something she hadn't felt in decades. Purpose. The kind that changes you. The kind she found, unbelievably, in a janitor's closet at sunrise. And she didn't know how deep this path would pull her. She only knew she wasn't turning back.